Right now, the Palisades fire, that is still only 11% contained.
Yeah, and the winds are expected to be horrible today, tomorrow, and Wednesday. So far, at least 24 people have died, with more than 150,000 under evacuation orders as the death toll continues to rise. A red flag warning has been issued for parts of Southern California through Wednesday. We've got those Santa Ana winds that are back. Also, low humidity persists. More than 37,000 acres have burned, with fire officials saying at least 10,000 structures have been destroyed. JP Morgan Chase estimates insured losses from the crisis top $20 billion. Another interesting thing that I actually just read an update, close to 70 people have been arrested for arson and for other
Looting
things.
and yeah, a lot of, yeah.
All right, these wildfires have been fueled by unusually powerful winds, which we've been talking about.
Yeah, that's why I want to bring in meteorologist Ginger Jeffries back again, who you actually spoke with a fire chief in Southern California about this problem and why it is making it nearly impossible for fire crews to get a hold of these.
Yeah, Chief Fennessy, I've known him for years, work in San Diego side by side with him, just incredible. Southern California, they are dealing with extreme weather patterns, of course, sparking continued fire concerns. But after the flames are out, understand, the danger, it's not over. Fires leave something called a burn scar. In 2018, winter storms brought major flooding and triggered deadly mudslides in Montecito. That's near Santa Barbara, which another area that was hit by the wildfires. I spoke to the chief of the Orange County Fire Authority, who told me about his fears of what he called weather whiplash and the chance of incoming rain causing even more devastation to these hard-hit communities.
So when, the rains do come, we've got to pray that they're not sustained, in one place, because we're going to see mud flow, maybe like we've never seen. It's quite possible that the loss of life could be greater as a result of floods and mudslides than the fire was. And that's absolutely a concern.
So understand how these burn scars work is they're very waxy and it basically forms this kind of shelf and it doesn't go too deep. So as soon as the water gets underneath it, that whole wall of mud comes down. And again, Montecito, that's my husband's hometown.
That's one of the most horrific stories I think I've ever reported, the Montecito mudslides, 2018, right?
2018, 23 dead. And Chief Fennessy is saying that he thinks the deadly possibilities from this, simply because of the amount of terrain we're talking about. And, in Altadena, that's the steepest terrain he's ever seen in his 40-year career. And that's where he grew up. His school was burned down. I mean, he went there, his elementary school burned down. So, Fennessy is just very familiar with it. And again, to hear his cause for alarm as far as what's going to happen with the mudslides, they have to unfortunately just not allow people back there until until the terrain is at least stable.
I think it's ironic, given that the hills of California and the terrain is part of what makes it so iconic, and sadly could be one of the biggest dangers to it.
Right, and especially with those winds, they were blowing onshore over the weekend, so the fire was getting blown back on itself. Well, now with those Santa Anas, it's just going to fuel, and their big concern is if it's going to crest, if it's going to make it over the mountains and then run down the other side, because there's just ample fuel for it to run through.
Oh, geez.
We're going to keep following this for you guys, of course.